One of the things you'll rarely ever see me doing is rooting for a movie to fail. It's just not something that I believe in. I don't think that wanting a movie to tank and crash and burn actually solves anything. I think it's just a lot of pedantic whining when we see this coming out of the internet. And you may not like that, and that's fine. If you want to complain about a movie and hope that it dies, by all means, that's entirely your prerogative. I'm just not going to engage in that. Movies I always go into with the best intentions because as a person who has worked in the industry, written movies, directed movies, made a lot of terrible things. I know the work that goes in to making the product. And so when I see a movie, it is not just one person that brings me there. It is the sum of the parts of its crew. The crew that puts in the work, the crew that you don't see, the people whose names you don't know. So I always like to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I always like to go and hope and think that something at the end of the day is going to end up pleasing me and entertaining me. And that's exactly what Terminator Dark Fate did. I found the movie to be quite enjoyable. I had a lot of fun. It had a great deal of heart in it, a lot of humor that I really seemed to like. It wasn't as grim dark as I think a lot of people wanted it to be. And there's a lot of criticism against it, and people cannot like it. All I ask is that they go and see it. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be happening because right now, apparently, the movie is on track to lose $120 million at the box office. And I was surprised at this, to be honest with you. I mean, going back to Terminator Genisys, when that movie opened up in 2015, it had a decent haul of around 90 million domestic, but it was pretty much saved a large part by China. They actually really seemed to like the movie. And it's possible that that was the reason because it was more of a rebooting of the franchise as a whole. You know, it was a rebooting of things and it was a retelling of the original story from a different perspective, a different twist. And perhaps China's lack of growing up with the franchise, very similar to Star Wars, is one of the reasons why they took to it, because they didn't really need to know a lot of information going in. Now with Terminator Dark Fate, this is the direct sequel to Terminator 2. This is Terminator 3. T3 Rise of the Machines might as well just be called Terminator Rise of the Machines because it's now not considered canon in the slightest, which I do think that movie does get a fair amount of flack. I thought it was a lot of fun when it came out back in 2003, and it's one that I do feel was a good entry into the franchise, with Salvation kind of being, I would argue, the lowest point of the Terminator franchise as a whole. But then, of course, it begs the question, did Terminator ever truly need to be a franchise? Hollywood likes its money, so they keep making these movies. But this one, with this amount of money lost, it could potentially kill it, even though the movie itself is I think, going to find a home on home video. I think more people are going to see it on home video and go, it's not that bad, and they're going to want to add it to their collection, because even though there's a lot of people that in my review of it do not like it, there's actually a fair amount that have come in and been like, no, I actually enjoyed the movie for what it was, despite some of its flaws. But according to a report published in THR, Dark Fate's US opening weekend took a mere 29 million, added to the takes from other territories, including a similarly disappointing debut in China and countries where it was released last week. The film's current box office tally is at 123.6 million, which doesn't even match the film's budget, estimated between 185 and 196 million. To break even, it's estimated the film needs to pull in a further 357 million, which after such a lackluster opening seems highly unlikely. And as a result, production company Skydance reportedly has no plans to follow up the film. Right now, Dark Fate is on track to lose $120 million. And that is a damn shame. It's a damn shame. It is. Not only for a movie to lose that much money, for a Terminator movie to lose that much money is definitely a damn shame. I would argue, though, that this is an exact, this situation is an exact reason why we need to start really pushing these studios. And not even we, maybe we as fans, we have no say here in a lot of these decisions, but studios need to start reining this stuff in. They really do. I understand the desire to make another Terminator movie. I understand all of those things. What I don't understand is why they felt that $185 or $196 million budget was entirely necessary. The movie had a lot of CG. In fact, I'd argue in many cases an overuse of CG, which kind of took away from a bit of the dread. The CG used in Terminator 2 with the T-1000 was definitely cool, and it in Robert Patrick's performance definitely filled you with dread. But there also was, I think, the way that Cameron directed the movie really did add a lot to that because of the imposing threat. This one here was I liked Gabriel Luna in the role quite a bit. I liked his Terminator quite a bit, but he wasn't Robert Patrick. He wasn't even Terminator in the original, and that was probably one of the major flaws. I didn't really feel like there was a massive threat to undergo, especially when you had, Arnie and you had Matt Mackenzie Davis, who was an augmented human. So it's one of those things. So, but this really should serve as a warning. This year should serve as a warning to like every other studio that's not Walt Disney. Walt Disney has taken in the most money of any studio, obviously, and with good reason. They keep cranking out films that people keep going to the theater to go and see, with the exception of Dumbo and Maleficent 2, which basically means at this point, a lot of their live action remakes are probably going to be put on the back burner while they get figured out, so they don't have this problem again. But Marvel movies aren't going to lose anything, and Star Wars is clearly going to clear 1.5 to 2 billion. It's going to do more than the Last Jedi did, guaranteed. So what we have here is a situation that is unfortunate. Like I said at the beginning, I don't like to see any movie fail. I don't like to see any movie lose. I think they made this movie with the best intentions. I think that there are some plot holes, but overall, at the end of the day, as a Terminator fan, I had a lot of fun with it. And it's one that I will gladly watch again. And it's one that I do recommend to people to not pay attention to people online and just to sit down and actually watch it for yourself. And look at the overall context past the first 4 minutes of the movie, which is what most people seem to be getting stuck on. Never mind looking at the philosophy of what is being discussed in the aftermath of that. So again, there's stuff there that is hinted at that is a bit deeper thinking than perhaps what was shown to us. But that's okay. You can do that. Anyway, it's a tragedy. But this is clearly the last time we are going to see a Terminator movie. I mean, look, given the fact that it's Arnold's last movie in general, and I don't think Linda Hamilton's going to want to come back unless they do find a way to make enough money to warrant making a sequel, which I just don't see happening, then we're going to be in a situation where this is going to be shown in business school as this is not how you put out a movie. Now, Tencent, who is that big Chinese distributor, they bought in for 10% of the finance, so they could release the movie in China, and they were probably hoping it would have a much bigger haul in China. But we'll have to maybe wait and see. Maybe it will pick up as time goes on. But like I said before, because this is a direct continuation of Terminator 2, they didn't have T2 in China in 1991. So they don't have any kind of affinity towards it. It's one of the reasons why new characters in these existing franchises like Star Wars are being used to sell to a Chinese audience, because they're trying to create that type of fan base and trying to create that type of legacy, where American or Western films that do have that long-standing, decades-long fan base simply go to China and die. And it wasn't just China that Dark Fate died in. And I do place a lot of that on both Genisys and Salvation, and the fact that both of those were attempts at reboots. And people, I think, just got tired of Terminator, because even Cameron probably doesn't have a great way to end the franchise. Even though this movie does end, in my opinion, Sarah Connor's story, and it ends it pretty well. Because as I've said before, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 were pretty much about her. And once it deviated from that, it's possible that that was a big issue. Anyway, though, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you all later. Have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, go ahead and type in Cameron in the chat so I know. And have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out. This video is supported by patrons like you. If you'd like to become a patron, please head over to patreon.com/Matt Jarbo.